How are you, doll? You excited?
Very
Hello,
excited.
darling. Very good.
And very grateful.
So, tell me a little bit about UPE.
Sorry?
Tell us a little bit about UPE.
Yeah, just a little bit about background because it'll make a bit more sense later when I give some reference, and it's more about my belief systems. So I had a poor family background. We grew up in housing commission. My father was an estate truck driver. I hardly knew him. Mum did her best, and then my father died at 11.
When you were 11?
When I was 11, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then Mum got remarried a few years later, but my new father was an alcoholic and quite aggressive, and so I got a bit messed up in those years and got sent away from home, and anyway, made it back a few years later, and then I probably went a bit the other way. Mum always said, like, work hard and do that stuff, so I sort of threw myself into work and football and stuff at the time. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that sort of got me going good for work and stuff, but my life was probably a bit out of balance. Mm-hmm. Probably working too much and not really knowing who I was.
So you had 3 children?
Three beautiful children.
This is before Sharon?
Before Sharon, yes.
Yep.
So I was married for 25 years, mm-hmm. and that all started all right, but I guess because where I was married young. I was married at 21, and
one income?
One income, hadn't sorted out much stuff, so actually, no, we did all right first time. The first time I had 3 jobs when I got married, and we paid off our first house, I think, in 4 or 5 years. It was not somewhere we wanted to live, not in a good area. So then we went and bought, and I built our family home over 2 years, worked on it every day for a couple of years, and that all went all right. But then we started having children, then my wife had some issues, and she couldn't work for 17 years, so the financial, and we had 17% interest rates, and I'd borrowed lots of money, and
so things were pretty tough.
Yeah, at that point in time.
You know, you've got a struggle mentality. You've come from a struggle mentality.
Yeah.
That is your world at this point. Okay, divorce comes along. What did that feel like for you? Was it a shock? Was it something you relished? Was it something you instigated, or was it?
Yeah, no. I think what happened was that I just got that far away from myself. I didn't even like myself. And it was, I just worked myself into darker space. So, but everything happens for a reason. I was okay with it. It took me probably 3 to 5 years with lots of help from lots of people to get back to where I wanted to be, and that's where my journey started again.
So, when did I Love Real Estate come into the picture?
Yeah, probably
before or after Sharon?
Roughly the same. A little bit before, actually. Yeah, no, a little bit before. Mm-hmm. Sorry, a little bit. Sorry, Sharon come a little bit before real estate.
Tell me about you, Sharon. What's your background?
Thanks, Stifner. Well, hi everyone. I'm Sharon, and I'm Shane's new wife. 1.5 years only. So that's very exciting, and I work full-time still, and I'm an executive secretary in the education sector, and trying to get out of it to work for Shane and help him with his property portfolio. So
our property.
Oh, our. Apparently it's our. I forget that.
We are a team.
You may have picked up that Sharon sees herself as an extra to this journey. But actually, her nickname is the tradie lady. And she's very much part of this journey, isn't she, Shane?
I actually call her Super Shaz. I think she's super. So.
She's not a support act. She's very much part of this partnership.
Yeah.
Very good. So you've got a lot of fear starting out. You've got some properties. You've worked really hard. You've paid down debt. So you've got this struggle mentality. I Love Real Estate comes on. How did that come about? How did you find us?
Yeah, I think I was searching. So all the time during marriage, I was trying and going to some seminars to see whether I could get like another income from shares or trading or just other things, or the internet, and I just couldn't make it work. In fact, I lost some money trying to do that, and that made the situation worse. And then I went back and I go, actually, I really enjoy property, so why don't I try and find somebody who I can help and then I can leverage. And so part of that story in between, I even bought a negative geared property.
As you do.
I don't know how I did that.
Most people
That was so bizarre. Like, we got flown up to Queensland from Melbourne for about
They do that.
3 or 4 hours,
Yeah,
and
that's the
this is
normal
all
thing.
great. And anyway,
Yep.
I think we sold it 10 years later for a loss.
Marketeers property, overpriced. Yep,
Yeah.
you got stitched up.
So I got stitched up. Anyway, that was okay. But I gone, okay, let's have another go.
Part of the journey.
But let's this time now. But before that, I actually got my mind right. So I spent a fair bit of time with Dean Martini, who you guys
Good.
probably know.
Good.
He got me sorted out. I put all my kids through him. I put Shaz through it. Well, I didn't put them. I said that would be a good thing to do. And so, so once I got that all sorted out, I'm going, okay, I need to. I always wanted to leave legacy. So I was always grateful for my mum. She, her parents were much poorer than that, and she'd done what she could, and I wanted to leave a generational change and a legacy. So I thought I've got to find a way to do this. And I thought, well, I think property will be good.
So I understand you were reasonably sceptical to start with.
Yeah, but it was about mindset, because like you spoke about before, so I didn't have that thinking or that mindset to be able to do it. So yeah, and then because of the marketeers and stuff, I thought, well, maybe this
Some
is
bad
not
experiences,
maybe
yep.
this is not the way. But I thought, okay, let's try and find some better help. Let's try and find some genuine and authentic and real people who can help us on the journey.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So you joined I Love Real Estate?
Yep, so I joined I Love Real Estate, and then what happened was after we'd gone through the divorce, and before that, I'd let my family stay in the house for 5 years, and I was paying all the bills and stuff, but they didn't really look after it, and it became a bit of a mess, and it was something I built, and that sort of hurt. But anyway, I said, okay, I'll buy it back as part of the settlement. So, and I didn't have whole lots of much money then, because we kept borrowing all the time, and we had high interest rates and stuff. So I bought it back after as part of the settlement for 670, and then with Shazza we got up there and we did a reno so that I could make some money, because I knew I wanted to go and buy another property.
Mm-hmm.
He worked me like a horse, guys. Honestly, I was a worker.
It's actually true.
So the property side of things for you, Sharon, was it of interest to you, or was it something you did because he loved it?
It was something I did because he loved it. He was so passionate, and he would just come to training after training after training and be missing all the time. And if we wasn't missing, we'd be working on a house. And his passion was just electric, and everything made sense. So he's actually teaching me now.
So
It's
what about
terrific.
now? How do you feel about it?
I love it now. I'm really
You've
into
caught
it
the
now.
bug.
Yeah, I'd still want to give up my job so I can get into it a bit more.
Very good.
Yeah,
So here's some of the...
she doesn't want to give up the job. We had a discussion on the way to the airport, and we were thinking about ways that that she could get out of that, and we've just come up with a plan, which we'll go into later, but she's going to give up her job in February.
Good. Very good. So here's some of the pictures from your renovation.
Yeah.
You can see it has been let go reasonably badly.
Yeah.
But you fixed it up. You made
Yeah.
your 140 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
What's this? What
So,
have you
so
done?
the whole purpose of that was to get a deposit so I could actually go and buy my investment property, because we didn't have enough cash to actually go and do that. And then, so we'll get that in a minute. But then when I met Shaz, by this time, I didn't know where she lived or whatever. We're both dancers. We met at ballroom dancing and stuff, Latin dancing.
You want to give us a little bit of a thing?
No, later. No, later. It's good. Anyway, so I get to Shaz's place, and eventually she let me in, and I've gone, wow, this is like 1,000 square metres. Like, this is reasonable sized block of land.
And I had no idea.
And I'm going, well, I think we could make some money out of this. So through trainings and learnings and things, I've gone, okay, I think that we can do this. So we've done Battle Act Subdivision for that, which we got the planning permit through, and we're just in the process of putting that ready. That should be ready in probably early next year, maybe January or February.
So a fabulous uplift there, but obviously some of that is through natural growth in the property as well and things. But still an uplift, and you know, you make money on
One of the
that
interesting things about, we're from Mornington Peninsula, which is really interesting, but there's no new development in Mornington Peninsula, so land is a premium. And so even for, like, I think that back block's 450 square metres, but we won't have any trouble getting 400 plus for that.
Yep. Are you not going to build on it?
Not that particular one. You will learn later, I actually like more land content.
Okay. So, what's this one then?
So
Mount Eliza.
This is Mount Eliza. So I took the 140,000 that we made out of my existing PPR, and I'd done some other training, and I was trying to think. There's so many strategies that I had to get really clear about what strategy worked with me. And I'm from an engineering background, so I sort of gravitated towards get an existing house on a big block of land that was positioned well, that could be renovated, and basically get your other block for close to free.
Subdivisions.
Yes, subdivisions, yep. So subdivisions really resonated. And I'd lived down the peninsula by this time for about 10 years, so I'd sort of known that area, and while I would have considered other areas, Mount Eliza is a very good area on the peninsula, and the best thing I like about it is the land content. So this place was like 8,000 square metres, could be subdivided into 3. So we picked up that place for 900,000. Anyway, but it needed some work. So again, we did some renos, and the intent was to do the renos, put somebody to rent it, then we'll go and do the subdivision, then we'll build the 2 new houses on that and keep them. So if I back up a little bit, my strategy was to try and get 10 properties as quick as I can, but the right sort of properties, but things that we could fabricate growth in.
So this is a good little subdivision. I mean, the uplift there is significant for subdivision. I said before, subdivision gives you your biggest bang for your buck. You've got some plans in place. How far along is this one?
We had a meeting with council last week, so we were very, very close to having a planning permit, but then the council changed their town planner and their team leader, and the new team leader didn't like it, so we had a notice of decision, had one objection because the guy at the bottom didn't know what was going on. Anyway, they've now agreed that we just have to do a couple little tweaks and they're going to fast track it, so we would expect to have a planning permit for that early in the new year.
And, $1 million profit in that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one here, you've got some apartments.
Yeah, well, this was a tricky one because what happened at the time, I probably got a little bit excited about the whole property thing, and knowing what I know now, then I don't know whether I would do it or didn't, but anyway, there's lots of reasons why I did it and I haven't listed them all there. So I wanted to get more exposure to property, and I wanted to have some balancing out. I wanted to get something closer to the city. So I did a whole lots of research, and I actually liked Richmond, but I liked Richmond really close to the CBD. So this place is like 2 k's from the CBD. It's a k for an MCG. They've reduced it now. I think there's 30 apartments. But it was a long-term hold. They paid the stamp duty, so we didn't have any stamp duty costs.
So you bought off the plan?
We bought off the plan, yep. So I probably shouldn't have done it, but
well,
I'm actually happy that in the long-term generational portfolio, this is probably something I will hold with what's going on in Melbourne.
They will go up in value and all of those things. It's probably negative for you on those figures.
It will be negative if you took up our deposits.
Yeah, and if you're negative, you're negative. It's like being pregnant. You can't be just a little bit pregnant, you know?
Yeah.
If you're negative, you're negative.
Actually, the longer you're pregnant, the more pregnant you are.
Yeah.
Just saying.
So it's not something I would, as I said, that I would probably do again.
But you've got it now.
I've got it, and
it's not hurting you.
And I'm actually happy to hold it for the next generation.
The cash flow. All right.
Melbourne, we 8.4 you.
There's definitely worse locations to be buying an apartment.
Yes,
it's
totally.
CBD Melbourne.
Location's good.
There will be some growth. There probably will be some competition coming because it's very close to the CBD.
Yes.
So you'll need to keep an eye on it.
Yeah, I understand. As said, if I look at the return, and that's what I look at now, so how much money can I put into that, how much money can I take out of it, it doesn't stack up by a long way against the other deals.
I mean, you'll make a lot more money out of doing other things. And it's the opportunity cost of what else you maybe could have done rather than that. It's not wrong.
Yeah.
It's just not optimum, I suppose.
No, that's sure.
Yeah. Okay. So we're back to subdivisions.
So we go back to subdivision. So I actually didn't really plan to do this one per se, but what happened was a friend of mine kept asking me, could you look at all these properties? And I'd said to him, you want to try to have something that you can control or create some equity in, and so that you can move forward, put a good peg in the sand.
Yep.
And so he kept saying, can you have a look at this place? Can you have a look at this place? Can you have a look at this place? And I'm going, they just don't, the fees, it doesn't stack up. Like, I wouldn't do it. And then I said to him one day, because I just follow the market all the time, particularly in our area, I said, well, this is the sort of place that you should be looking at. And this place, by the way, is like 15 doors down from my other one. It's on the same road. And so...
We're renaming it Burke Road. It's called Two Bays Road, but we're renaming it now.
But it's also, the area's got some pretty strong design development overlays on it, and I'd already understood all them, so I said...
So it's easy to duplicate.
Yeah, it's easy to duplicate, so I'd already done that. So...
And it's $1 million in this one.
Yeah, I know. So I said...
Is this a share deal?
Yeah, it's a share deal. So I said to him, we don't actually have the cash to do this, but you should be, this is the sort of thing you should be buying. So then we both sort of going, well, why don't we actually buy it together? Because this was a 4-lot subdivision, so I said, we can afford half, you can afford half, and let's buy it together. And well, that sort of happened, but then he realised he couldn't actually do his half of the deal, and then my daughter had already bought a place in Frame as well, a single-bed apartment, but then she was able to hand that back because the developer took away the car parking space, which I didn't know they could actually do, but they could. And so she said, we would love, she said, can we buy that block of land off you? And I said, no, you can't. But I said...
You can be in the deal.
But you can be in the deal.
Great.
And I actually wanted to put my kids in the deal.
Yeah.
And I wanted to help as many other people as I could.
It's good.
And so they were wrapped. So they come in on the deal, and that's wrapped. So that one is, it's gone through RFI. It should go to advertising next month.
Great, you're that far ahead. Great.
Yeah, and hopefully we should get a permit, I think, early in the new year on that.
Excellent. So another $1 million. What are you going to do with all your money?
Holiday.
Yeah.
It'll go into the next one, Dimple.
Yeah.
Of course it will. Of course.
So I think I said before, I'm just grateful for what my parents were able to do for me, and I wanted to leave a legacy. That was my thing. So I want.
You know the best legacy you can leave?
Yeah, I was a role model, and it's already happening.
It's the education of your children.
Yeah.
Not what you leave them in material assets. It's the education of your
So
children.
part of that is to create a foundation, and that's what I want to do. And it's a foundation that will, but for them to be able to get education like this, or financial, or well-being. And I want to buy a retreat on the other side of the peninsula that will support that as well.
And with your kids, when they can, the best thing is when they can take over.
Well, you want the ripple effect.
So that you don't have to be the provider.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems, you provided and provided and provided.
Yeah.
And while ever you're providing, you're not allowing the other person to grow.
Yes.
So by having your kids part of the deal like that, and by putting them through the education and seeing them able to step up and do things, that's actually the better legacy, because then they're capable of maintaining that legacy.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the first generation makes it, second generation kind of maintains it, and the third generation loses it.
Yeah, 100%. And so that's why we've got them working on their mindset, because I want them to pass it on to their children, and then their children pass it on to their children.
And this education too,
the
and
ripple
how
effect.
to do it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good.
So
Good.
That's what it's all about.
It's all about family. So your final results aren't too bad. I mean, you started with a total of $213,000 pre-I Love, and you're now up to 2.6
Mil.
Yeah.
He's quite in shock, actually. When he did these numbers, he said, I had to keep looking at the figures because I kept thinking I'd made a mistake. And he said, and even if I've made a little mistake, he said, it's still bloody good.
And how long is that?
That's probably 3 years work. Yeah.
See, this is massive, because you were doing property before. You were doing things on what you knew, and you'd done okay. Yes, you had a divorce, which means everything gets split and whatever. But in 3 years, to go from 200 grand to 2.6 with the proper education in place, that shows the power of that education, which is why it is your duty to pass it on to your children.
Yeah. Well, even
You
better
cannot
that.
not.
By the time we get the subdivisions finished and then we build the houses, the uplift on that in
Is
the
even
rising
more.
market, it'll be
A lot more than that.
A lot more.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
And we just want to go and do
whatever
it again.
Yeah.
Yep.
You've got to get those kids
It's
educated.
pretty terrific because
Yeah.
Shane, I've never known anyone who works as hard as Shane does. He's a really, really hard worker, and he's got his own engineering hydraulics company and works hard in that. And I've worked full time, but then by the time we come home, have dinner, walk the dog and put a load of washing on, we're back at the table every night, hours and hours and hours, going to
Yeah.
bed hopefully before midnight. That's what we like to do.
Yep.
We try and have a balance and still come to Sydney for a course or have a holiday. But the point is he actually treats it like a business. He
Yep.
Yeah.
treats it really
Yeah.
seriously.
Yeah,
and
you
You
have to.
both do.
We both do, absolutely, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We
We'll keep
do.
working out, we shall
Yeah.
get there.
Don't underestimate
no,
yourself, Dale.
No, I couldn't do it, I'll tell you up front, I couldn't do it. So I have some of the knowledge and some of the experience, but the importance of having Shaz there as support and doing the administration and questioning me, challenging me, it's super important.
I actually want to say something here, and I think it really plays into the two of you.
Yeah.
I could not do what I do today and help you guys and educate you guys and stand on stage and do any of those things if I didn't have the support of my husband. I could never have been here doing what I do if I was with my first husband.
100%.
I could not, I couldn't be the person I am today unless that actually had happened. And just, you know, you see me and you see the front and whatever else, but it's the two of you, even if it's just the support behind and the questioning and the talk and the whatever else, that's what's important. You know, that unwavering support, which is what I see in you, and that is amazing, and that needs to be acknowledged.
Absolutely, 100%.
And that's not taking anything away from you.
I'm
It is-
100% with you. I
Yeah.
wouldn't have that. We wouldn't, and it's not I anyway. We're we. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
You've
Very
done
grateful.
well.
Yep,
Thank you very much.
No,
Good on you, Dulce.
thanks, Tim.
Well
So
done.
can I just say one more thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
So I've been where all you guys are, and I think I come to this conference 12 months ago in Melbourne, and I said to myself then, I'm just going to manifest that. So I took a picture of that, I stuck it up on my desk at work, and it's been there ever since, and that's what's happened.
And here you are.
And here I am.
Good on
And
you,
so
Dal.
thank you. I'm
You're
so
welcome.
grateful.